When you're in a hole and you can't get out, you really should quit digging. The left is embarrassing itself with its fruitless attacks on Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito. The initial story about the flag flying upside down was rejected by the Washington Post when it happened. That was in January 2021. The Post learned that it was Mrs. Alito's reaction to some vulgar personal insults against her by a neighbor because of their polarized political views. Post editors determined that nonviolent political squabbles between neighbors, even if one of them is married to a Supreme Court justice, is not newsworthy. But the New York Times found it newsworthy about 3 years and 5 months after it happened. That is, about 4 weeks ago, implying that the 3-year-old incident suggests Justice Alito empathized with January 6 rioters who flew the flag upside down as one of their many protest displays. Liberals demanded that Alito recuse himself from historic decisions involving former President Trump, including his claim of immunity from prosecutions he is facing. In activist reporting, of course, nothing is a coincidence. After the story broke in the Times and spread elsewhere, the Washington Post reported that it had turned down the story 3 years ago, and it reported why. Alito offered a 2-page explanation that mirrored the Post's explanation for turning down the story when it happened. There was no there. And the initial reaction turned to, So the left-leaning media began looking for other potential dirt on Alito. The Times soon reported that the Alitos also flew an Appeal to Heaven flag at their vacation home in New Jersey. The flag, which features a pine tree with the motto, "An Appeal to Heaven," was first used by a squadron of 6 schooners commissioned under George Washington. The phrase, "Appeal to Heaven," first appeared in John Locke's second treatise on government, where it is used to describe the right of revolution. The Times reported the flag is now a symbol of support of former President Donald J. Trump, for a religious strand of the Stop the Steal campaign, and for a push to remake American government in Christian terms. Well, that second flag story also produced no results. Justice Alito refused to recuse himself from the decisions involving Trump despite a demand from U.S. Senator Richard Durbin of Illinois. The heat died down. Then a liberal activist bought a ticket to the Supreme Court Historical Society's annual gala and secretly taped interviews with Alito and Chief Justice John Roberts. Thank you for that. Alito's comments should put people at ease about his judicial temperament, the underlying question all of this probing is designed to expose. Justice Alito agreed with the secret recorder's remarks that the country is deeply polarized and that given the depth of our disagreement over various issues and the inability to compromise them, quote, one side or the other is going to win, unquote. He stated that nevertheless, that is, Alito stated that nevertheless, there can be a way of working, living together peacefully. Let me agree with and elaborate on Alito's secretly recorded remarks. One side is always going to win, but victories are always temporary in our form of government, if we can keep it. There not only can be, but there must be a way for people who have very strong, principled disagreements, including those grounded by different religions or other moral codes, on fundamental questions about right and wrong, to work and live together peacefully, or the United States experiment will fail if it hasn't already. Alito's secretly recorded view is anything but controversial. He said, American citizens in general need to work on this, that is, polarization. But he said that solving polarization is not something the Supreme Court can do because, quote, We have a very defined role, and we need to do what we're supposed to do, unquote. He added, that is way above us, unquote. The revelations of the liberal activist, a female filmmaker who surreptitiously recorded the conversations while pretending to be a Christian conservative, have backfired on her. And she didn't, probably still doesn't, even know it. Solving the polarization problem in the United States is above the Supreme Court. It is up to we the people to solve that problem. It is unlikely that we will, at least in the foreseeable future, but it is our problem to solve, not the Supreme Court's. Alito affirmed his knowledge and acceptance of the limitations of his role, that winning or losing is not part of his job description. And he did so while he thought he was in a private conversation with a conservative activist who was suggesting he should take an activist role in the winning and losing game. The more the left digs at Alito, the further from their goal do they get.